I don't think any character has changed as much as Reptile has since the first game. We're going to start with the first game and work all the way up to Mortal Kombat 1. Reptile has his human form, kind of a hybrid form, full-on reptile. And I'm going to share my opinion of him, with S being the best and D being the worst, and then I want to know what you guys think. And let's get started. Let's start with the first Reptile from the arcade era. This is a very simple Reptile. It's from the first game, so that's to be expected. I've played since the arcade era, so there is some nostalgia here. So I will have a little bit of biased influence, but I'm still going to try to be realistic at the same time. I'm a fan of human Reptile, and I think minimal is good in some cases, and that's this one. I think the ninjas, being simple, are great in most occasions, and especially in the early games. For certain that the original Reptile here, I like a lot. I don't think he's perfect. I think there could be a little bit more work on the mask. I think this Reptile just looks really cool. I don't think he's perfect, but I do think he's almost there. So I'm going to put him in A tier, holding his fist strong. He's a very good looking Reptile. So to be frank, that's a pretty strong start. Our runner-up is the first playable Reptile from Mortal Kombat 2. He does look pretty similar, but there are some changes. Notably, the shin pads, the mask looks different, and the shade of green. I'm not a very big fan of the shin pads. I do think the mask looks cool in the character select screen, but with the ninja suit looking more quilted, I like how it's more sleek in the first Mortal Kombat game. But one thing I can't forget that's big is Reptile revealing his face in this game, and that has to bump the other Reptile over. I do prefer Reptile's design in the original game as far as a ninja suit, but Reptile actually being more of a Reptile in the second game, it's more iconic. It's hard to beat a Reptile that can pull his mask off in the fights and really show his form. However, purely going off just design, I'm gonna have to go with the Reptile from MK1, and there's probably some impression there from how hard he was to find in the original game. But if I'm being honest, I gotta go off straight design. I prefer Mortal Kombat 1's Reptile ninja outfit over that of Mortal Kombat 2's. This Reptile is from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, this one might be a little controversial. The reason I say that is this is the human Reptile reappearing again for the third time. Some people have an issue with this Reptile this far into the series. So in Mortal Kombat 3, Reptile is once again a human in a ninja outfit, and if you compare this to 1 and 2, it does look pretty similar, and there were people, I would say more of your casuals, getting upset at this point, and that's not to discredit people that just flat out don't like Reptile as a human. I'm not discrediting them. Mortal Kombat started getting criticism for the palette swaps. So as Mortal Kombat 3 released, Sub-Zero was no longer a ninja, Scorpion wasn't in the game, and Reptile wasn't either. So when UMK3 dropped and Reptile came out with the rest of the ninjas, people were pretty disappointed that Reptile came out to be a ninja again. Me personally, I love this outfit. I think it looks good on Reptile. It's actually one of my favorites. I just think this design for any ninja in general is about as spiffy as it can get. I even think this uniform looks better than the MK1 bundle pack's uniform representation of it, plus more as far as abilities, but I'm not going to go into all that. So yeah, the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 / Mortal Kombat Trilogy Reptile is S tier for me. Oh, it's about to get bad. Or is it? Because we're covering Reptile from Mortal Kombat 4, and some people either... Actually, I don't know anyone that likes Reptile from Mortal Kombat 4, and that's okay. Because I really do think there are people that do like him that are out there. I've just yet to meet him, so if you like Reptile from Mortal Kombat 4, let me know, that way I can write that off. Someone in the comments told me that Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat 2 was their favorite adaptation of him. I think that's cool. I like finding fans who like the underrated things in Mortal Kombat. So, Reptile in Mortal Kombat 4, like most people, I'm not a fan of him. I do want to point out some things that I do like, and that would be his black vest. I think there's potential there as far as a ninja uniform. Unfortunately, what throws me off is the mask being opened up in the middle to expose his mouth and to have purple pants to go along with it. I still think there's other ways this outfit could have worked. I think Reptile could have had better eyes, and then making the pants something to really accommodate the vest more, like gray or something more neutral than purple. This is definitely a D tier Reptile. I don't think that's going to come to a surprise to many. In fact, I would say this is probably the worst Reptile, but we'll see. We still have some more to tackle. Before closing out, we can still appreciate that this is Reptile's first time stepping outside of being a human ninja. Right, next on the list, we got Reptile from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. And this one's also a love-hate. The reason that is because Reptile in this game is a very big difference from any other design that he has had yet since his debut. And the reason I really think that is because Deadly Alliance cut out a character named Tiamat. And you can see in the concept art, they look very similar to Reptile's design we have for Deadly Alliance. It's very possible this is Tiamat with the name Reptile slapped on it. I like this design a lot. It's the black vest, very similar to MK4, but it continues on being prominent as a black vest without anything else throwing it off major as far as clothing like purple pants. But what do I think about Reptile being a full Reptile? Well, in this instance with this design, yes, I do. I like it a lot. Do I prefer him more as a human? Yeah, in most cases I do. I'm not a person to say I don't like Reptile as a Reptile because I can accept him as that too. It just depends which variation. This is a high A Reptile for me. Well, actually I'm gonna go with putting Reptile in mid A, to be honest. I'm really thinking this is my favorite Reptile that's not a human. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monk's Reptile. Now, the cutout picture I have here is of Reptile in his alternative skin in Shaolin Monks, and I'm not really going to comment on that. I want to make a video for when I do characters in their entirety. That is, covering all their alts and DLC skin packs. That includes all their skins and designs from each game. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks' Reptile. I think it looks good. It's also close to the Reptile I'll be covering next, which is the one from Armageddon, and they're very similar, but there are some differences. I like the vest better from the Reptile in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. I also like how his head wrappings are more straggly, almost like they're more mummified, similar to Ermac and MKX. In comparison, if you look at Reptile from Armageddon, his head wraps are almost perfect. He looks like a more clean-cut, refined Reptile from Shaolin Monks. So I think it's easier now if I just go ahead and compare the two. They're so much alike. Armageddon really took the one from Shaolin Monks and made it its primary. But the Reptile with the vest from Armageddon looks more scaly. I'm not really a fan of that. I'm going to take the Shaolin Monks Reptile and I'm going to put him in the B tier. Because I think he's decent. I do like him. I can tell it's a hybrid approach, but it seems like it's almost too safe, with a little bit of mess in there that's okay. When I look at Reptile, I like it to be go hard or go home. Either go full human or go full Reptile. So with that being said, I may as well grab Armageddon's Reptile. I don't think it's a bad Reptile either. I just remember, and I played a lot of Armageddon, anytime I would hover over his character portrait, this isn't my Reptile, you know? Again, as close as they are, the small detail is enough for me to make a difference. I almost want to put it in C, but I'm gonna put it in B. Alright, up next we have Reptile from Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 is amazing, but not everything in it is. And I think Reptile is a good example of that. The reason I don't care much for this Reptile is it's a little bit further away from the hybrid Reptile in my opinion. It doesn't have as much ninja or human clothing as the other two. However, the pants it has is a vibrant green, and it's already green, which is an odd matchup. And I have to criticize the face. He does have a mask. I like ninjas that have masks, but what I don't like about his face is it reminds me more of like a chicken. It almost beaks. It's not great if you're going for something cool. I don't think this is a cool looking Reptile. In fact, this is one of my least desired Reptiles of all time. Just looking at this Reptile feels very uninspiring. It seems like a grunt type character. It screams jobber. And I'm not trying to trash on Reptile, because I do have a soft spot for Reptile. I like the character a lot. I feel like they unintentionally did him pretty dirty on this one, and it's not like they were trying to. I really don't like this Reptile. I'm putting it in D tier. This next one's actually a pretty difficult one. This is Mortal Kombat X Reptile. So this one, to me, is a good example of Reptile going hard. This is a good example of Reptile going in the right. This is a good Reptile. What I was trying to say is, I think this really is a good example of Reptile being Reptile, not a human, not being stuck on trying to make it a hybrid version. This reminds me of the Deadly Alliance Reptile, but more modernized. The drawback that I do have with it is the beak. I don't care for any beaks on Reptile. However, I think the design looks good. Now, when I compare Reptile from MK Deadly Alliance to MKX, and I think which one's better, if we were able to modernize Deadly Alliance's Reptile, I think he would still have the upper hand. And that's because I like the facial structure that much better. I like how he looks a little armored up by having bones rather than clothing. I think that was a smart decision. Makes him look more primitive and strong at the same time. This Reptile looks really good, it's just the beak that throws me off. I'm gonna put him at the end of A tier. Next one on the list is Mortal Kombat 1's Reptile. This is hybrid done right. I think this is one of the better Reptiles. I think they did a really good job making a new ninja outfit for Reptile. It's like he is a ninja again, in his own unique way. I think compared to the rest of the cast, whenever you're in-game, he does appear to be a little bit smaller in gameplay, which threw me off a little bit, but it's not that bad. Do I think it's better than the very first Reptile? I don't. My S tier Reptile is the UMK3 Reptile. Deadly Alliance Reptile, that's my ideal Reptile. MK2 Reptile, it's good. This Reptile from MK1 is really good. I do think this Reptile is a little better than the one from MKX. I can't get over the beak, but the rest of him is fantastic. But if they were to modernize Reptile the way he looks in MK2, similar to how Sub-Zero and Scorpion look as cameos, then I would definitely put Reptile right here. For me, my favorite Reptile is UMK3, then it's MK1, Deadly Alliance, MK1, MK2, and then MKX is my top Reptiles. I honestly wasn't expecting my list to turn out like this with no Reptile in C tier. I have my Reptiles I consider mid, and then there's the Reptiles I just really don't like at all. Those of you that are already subscribed know that I like differing opinions, and I like seeing what other people's takes are. Let me know if you like this video. If you'd like me to do a full, complete, all-out Reptile breakdown tier list, I will. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.